It's Friday, the 5th of December 2025. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 big stories to race through in 5 minutes. Let's go with story number 1. The federal government has run into a bit of an economic dilemma when it comes to tobacco sales. They've been taxed so much that the illegal market has surged, and that's hurting legitimate retailers. And at the same time, cigarettes are so available and so cheap on the black market that the fear is that smoking rates will actually rise.
Legal cigarette and tobacco sales fell 29% in the year through to the end of September, according to the ABS. Now, we've had retailers like Woolies, Coles, Ampol, IGA reporting falling revenue from tobacco. Illegal tobacco sales, however, are surging. I mean, you can go to a convenience store, buy a pack of cigarettes illegally for $16 compared to $50 legally. A report by the Centre for Independent Studies says the federal government's tobacco tax has reached the point of diminishing returns. Raising excise rates rather than diminishing demand just incentivises illicit supply. Now, the federal government's tobacco excise revenue has more than halved since 2019-2020, and it's forecast to continue to decline.
Even more concerning is the instances of smoking among young Australians is rising.
Yes, so Roy Morgan data shows 17% or 17.4% of Australians aged 18 and over smoked or vaped, similar to levels of a decade ago. Younger Australians, 18 to 24, it actually goes up to nearly 28%, according to the Fin Review. Also, the problem of crime, some real problems in Victoria, particularly with fire bombings. The governments in South Australia and New South Wales have introduced tough new penalties, but the problem remains. The AFP in July confiscated 5.8 million cigarettes, 84,000 vapes. A lot of that is coming from offshore. Now, spending on cigarettes and tobacco peaked in 1981. It has fallen back down. The problem is now that this tax is so high that people are just going to the black market and making it, and tobacco is cheap enough for people to actually be incentivised to smoke.
Okay. All right. Moving on to story number 2 now. Australian household spending jumped 1.3% in October. That's twice as much as expected by economists and suggests that consumers really are out there spending.
Yes, the household spending indicator from the ABS replaces the retail sales figure. It's a bit new, a little bit volatile, but this is a big jump. Annual growth surged to 5.6%. Sales and promotional periods drove the rise. So the biggest increase was in consumer goods spending, stuff like clothing, footwear, furniture. It just suggests that people are getting sensible about when they're spending their money, waiting for a sale. For example, many of this year's Black Friday sales began in October, would be caught up by this number. What it does mean is that the economy is picking up and it's unlikely the Reserve Bank will cut rates anytime soon.
Okay, story number 3. The federal government has conceded that it's unlikely to reach its ambition of building 1.2 million homes before the end of the decade, and only 2 states are likely to reach their targets for new houses.
Head of Treasury Jenny Wilkinson said building 1.2 million homes by the end of 2029 would be challenging. On Wednesday, Reserve Bank Governor Michelle Bullock said the country would likely miss its housing targets. At Senate estimates, Wilkinson was asked whether the government's 5% deposit scheme would drive up prices. She kind of obfuscated, really. She said housing was difficult to model, but she thought there would be a small positive impact over the medium term.
Story number 4, it's the end of the year, Sean. We get all these reports showing what people buy and eat and say and listen to. Spotify was up yesterday. It released its top streaming tracks and overseas musicians led the way.
The top 5 artists were all from offshore. No prizes for number 1. Taylor Swift, then Drake, Morgan Wallen, The Weeknd and Billie Eilish. The most streamed track between January 1 and the mid-November cutoff for tallying was Ordinary from American Alex Warren. Top Australian artist was The Wiggles, followed by Kid Laroi. There's a funny couple there. The top Aussie song was Riptide by Vance Joy, which is an oldie. I listen to more podcasts and music, Michael. I got my list, 191 genres. What about you?
Oh, Fast 5 by Fear and Greed was number 1.
Top of the
Absolutely. Last one, story number 5. Thailand has temporarily lifted a decades-old ban on the sale of alcoholic drinks in the afternoon as it seeks to boost tourism.
Off air, we discussed, we were very unaware that there was actually a ban because we've been there in the afternoon. And anyway, liquor stores, restaurants and other accredited establishments can now sell beer, wine and spirits from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. as part of a 6-month trial, according to the BBC. The ban, which came into force in 1972, was introduced primarily to stop government employees from drinking during work hours. but it has long vexed visitors to the predominantly Buddhist country, which is also known for its party scene. The move comes just days ahead of Christmas and the New Year holiday, peak season for tourist arrivals, especially from Australia.
Indeed. All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Friday, the 5th of December, 2025. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed, wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 business news by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.